Hey guys, per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. So more so than usual, this is experimental. This is definitely untested, especially in crypto. I haven't seen anybody talk about this ever. I'm sure somebody uses this, but we'll get to what I did yesterday and how it actually worked pretty well, surprisingly. I wouldn't recommend using this strategy all the time. It's Bill Williams' Fractals, okay? I used it because market conditions were such that it seemed a bit ridiculous that we dropped as much as we did when we did, mainly because of these reasons. I think the Binance stuff most of all, and the SEC stuff. All of this was nothing burger, as in not impactful long term. In my opinion, it was just people selling the news. That's fine, it happens. There's nothing you can do about it. BitMEX also had its highest volume ever yesterday, something like $5.1 billion traded hands, which is why I'm charting BitMEX. So I've talked about fractals before. I use them very frequently, often very well. They work great for figuring out your stop losses when you're in a cloud trade. One of the main reasons I like cloud and fractals, it's all auto-drawn. There's no subjectivity whatsoever on where the up fractal or down fractal appears as with cloud. You know, your interpretation is certainly subjective as is with the fractals, but you don't draw anything on the chart. It's all figured out. It's all math. It's all relative position of candles. So let me just illustrate this real quick with the cloud. Generally, cloud signals you go long on a breakout or a TK recross above the cloud in this case here. So let's just say you're long here or somewhere up here. It doesn't matter. When I'm long, what I do is I shut off the up fractals. I just don't use them. And I just use the down fractals as the stop loss. So you're in this trade wherever. Maybe you're in it up here. It doesn't matter. And the general idea is you move your stop loss up with every successive down fractal, because you shouldn't be breaking down fractals if you're in a bull trend. That's just the idea. You can see here, if you're playing this correctly, you're stopped out here. This works out, it's not actually a fake out, and your re-entry is always the Kijun. Boom. That's pretty straightforward, simple. Obviously it doesn't work out like that every time. I do rarely get faked out on fractals though, on high time frames. This is the daily. This is back in October, December. Okay, so we're in on the TK recross above the cloud. Great. Stop, 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 stop. And this is literally like every daily candle you're watching this. So this will print like 2 daily candles after, but you can always sort of cheat it and determine where these fractals are going to print. So you're getting a high, low, high, and a higher next to it. Bill Williams himself explains it a little oddly, but you want an extreme low and then 2 candles that are higher next to it. It doesn't really matter if there are, like this one's higher than this one, whatever. How the fractals are printed, honestly, I don't care. You don't need to know, but if you're curious, that's how they're printed. Okay, so we're long, stop loss, we get stopped out, great. Up here, sorry, stopped out up here. Bids on the Kijun because we're a great cloud trader and we know that happens frequently. That we're back in the trade, stop here, stop here, stop here, and we go to, berserk 20, whatever it is. The price honestly doesn't matter. The fractals, the cloud, that's all that really matters here. So your stop loss is here, we go up and we come back down. So you're actually stopped out at 12.7, which is basically the Kijun. So at that point you have to decide, do you get back in? Do you have bids here? What do you do? As this structure is happening, you have to make those decisions. Obviously, this is like, if this was easy, everybody would be doing it, okay? But you'll typically see this. You'll see this up thing, and then cloud will flatten out, Kijun will flatten out, and things will go sideways, they'll flag, it'll either go up or down from there. In this case, it went down. But you can see how much later the TK cross happens, which is where cloud tells you to exit. So, maybe you close here, maybe you reopen here, and you're getting fractal, then you're stopped out again. So it's a break-even type trade right there. Not the greatest, but you're not sitting through all of this nonsense, right? And then let's just show, I haven't looked at this, but so let's say you're see, the thing with all this with cloud, there's no like good short here. Let's say you're short here, okay? You're short on this of this flag thing. You're short, you're short, you're short. Here's a fractal, great, and you're stopped out, and that makes sense. And let's say you're short on the Kijun bounce, and you can see that level was not breached. And I would put those as limit orders, not like market orders or anything. Just, you know, traditional stop loss. Like if it hits this level, it's going to trigger. Anyway, so that's that. Let's talk about something a little different, considering using the fractals has multi-facets to it. So in general, when you get a down drop like we did yesterday, you're going to see a couple things. You're either going to see this, which is just going to be continuation. It's just a tight flag pennant thing. Or you're going to see this V flag pennant thing that you need to immediately put into your head that, oh, this could be Adam Eve or Adam, some sort of double bottom. That doesn't mean you need to trade it like that. You just need to think about these things before they happen. Every time, all the time, always, you're going to see this on all charts, all time frames. The other thing you can do is fib this high to low, and the 50% zone will be a high probability retrace zone. If you want to look up the math behind this, you can Google Dow theory, okay? Just this theory that in general, everything's going to retrace 50% of the time at least. So your close for this trade ideally is somewhere in here. Depends on market conditions, depends on time frame, blah, blah, blah. Like there are obviously a million variables here. I generally call this run and gun mode. So I'm not looking to, you know, be a hero, hold this for 3 months. You're just, if you're on a 5-minute time frame, you're scalping, okay, which is what was going on yesterday. There was a massive impulse, whatever you want to call it, on bogus news, and I tried to take advantage of that. So let's break it down. So let's say you wake up, you open the chart, this is what you see, okay? And like I said, some sort of, typically you'll see this, very few candles, and then it'll break the low again. Now you could have been short from up here, I wasn't in anything, any position or anything. So like I said, you wake up, you see this, what do? Okay. So the general idea is you go long if we break a bull fractal, you go short if we break a bear fractal, up fractal, down fractal. That's the general idea. Now this should carry a bearish bias in general, which is completely subjective. But again, I'm seeing this like V type thing. The news is the news, and like this wasn't like a giant threat to Bitcoin, blah blah blah. You know, I clearly have a bullish bias just going into this. So I see this like a few candles in. I see this print, and this breaks this fractal here, and I'd market buy. Boom. Now you can wait for the candle to close, which is probably recommended. It worked out in every case that I market bought at these fractal levels, but it doesn't always work out like that. Your stop loss is either 1 or 2 fractals behind the candle where you enter. This will move up, and I'll explain this as we go. I think in the future, for me, it's going to be 1 fractal behind on a lower time frame, and you'll see why that is. So great, we're in at like 98 something, 98 and change, and we get another bull fractal very shortly after. You can see we're negative at this point, and I moved stop loss up because we had another bear fractal here. So 1, 2 back from this. That's just what I was doing, and you're still in the trade. Slightly panicked, maybe, but you're still in the trade. So we didn't get a lower low, and that's another thing you'll notice here. We're continually getting higher lows this whole way up. Okay. Now, if I was using the 1 fractal stop back here, I may have gotten stopped out here. So I don't really know how to read that. Again, this is new. I haven't really tested this at all much. So bull fractal, not a higher high yet. No more entries. Another bull fractal, and we get a higher high. Above that fractal, and we make an entry. Boom. And again, we're continually moving this back, moving this stop loss from 2 fractals back, or 1, whatever you want to do. You can see why I hesitate to say 2 later on. The other thing you're looking at, I'm looking at volume, descending volume. When I see descending volume, there should always be a chart pattern, something here. This does not look bullish in any means to me. As I'm, you know, this is going on in my head as I'm trading this. Like this is going to break down. This is obviously not going to work. Okay, I'm seeing what looks like some sort of bear flag. You can call it an ascending triangle, whatever. It's just this tight grouping of consolidation. So we get our first entry, our second entry. We get another bull fractal, another higher high. So here's the bull fractal, move the stop loss back, make an entry here. Volume is still not breaking the range, and because I'm a cloud trader and none of this stuff happens in a vacuum, I'm looking at cloud the whole time as well, and I'm seeing, oh look, it's an edge-to-edge trade. The payoff isn't huge, it's low time frame, but there's also this giant flat Kumo, which is essentially the 50% retracement. And you're going to see this every time, all the time, always. When you get a drop and things go sideways, things again, it's telling you what Dow theory is without even telling you Dow theory, okay? It's saying, yeah, we're probably going to hit this. This is a magnet for price. It's going to hoover this up like a vacuum, okay? And that's what ends up happening. Obviously, it doesn't happen all the time, okay? But that's what ended up happening. So we get our 3 entries. We finally break horizontal resistance, which is what I'm calling this. This is low time frames. There's not a lot of data. So you can see this was clearly some sort of support, broke that support, and then resistance, 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 breaks that resistance, okay? At this point, I take a sigh of relief. I can say, okay, we have something here, game on. This isn't actually going to be a disaster. And we get the volume breakout, like I said, where it mattered, which was breaking the horizontal. And, you know, it didn't close like this with a giant wick. It closed full-bodied, full-mast. You know, it was full-masted candle. So this is all happening good and dandy. No more entries. After you get one breach of that, you don't re-enter like all these candles. It's just you get a fractal and then you re-enter. And because I'm doing this in real time, again, this is just things that are going on in my head, okay? Is this a shooting star? This is not a bullish candle. This is basically an inverted dragonfly. Dragonfly is a bullish reversal, similar to this. So unless you get a higher high here, it's probably going to turn down for the worse. But we do get a higher high. At least the candle body closes higher. So at this point I'm thinking we're probably, again, probably okay. Like this is a problem trading 5 minute. You're like looking at every tick, hoping. You shouldn't be. You should just let, you know, trust the fractal. This is the first time doing this for me. So shooting star definitely canceled at this point. We're getting another bullish fractal. If you get a higher high here, you'd make a 4th entry. Not much changed. You can move the stop loss at this point two fractals back. Doesn't really matter. It's the same level essentially. You can tell these aren't exactly the same, but they're pretty close. So I didn't actually move anything. Get another bull fractal. There weren't other bear fractals to move this, so I didn't. That's just the logic there. Everything just holds, no new highs, no new entries. Then we get a higher high. We break this level here, 4th entry, boom. At this point, I'm basically entering at 10K or near 10K and thinking, is this going to fill the gap? So anytime you see this, typically in Forex, you'll see like a close and then it'll open way down, okay? When you see that, probability just generally states, I don't have data for this obviously, but that it will quote unquote fill the gap. Things will retrace. So at this point, I have that in my head, I have the 50% thing in my head, I have the cloud Kumo in my head. Do I want to be a hero and try to hold this to somewhere above 10.2? That's also going in my head, you know, greed obviously. So we get the entry. Again, we get another reversal type candle, less of a bearish reversal suggestive probability wise than the shooting star, but also it's a momentumless candle. Doesn't look great. We ended up getting higher high, I think. Okay, so we get the cancellation of the spinning top. Here we get a higher high. No new bull fractal. This is not a re-entry or entry at this point after the 4th entry. We're not getting any other fractal prints. You can see we get a bearish fractal in front of the bull fractal. The question here is whether or not to move it up to this point. I probably will in the future. Just always move it up to the newest bear fractal. So you see here we get a new bull fractal, and that should confirm the fractal stop to this level at this point, in my opinion. Just because it's moving your stop almost to break even or a little in profit at this point. Or you're being a smart trader and doing what I said at the beginning, closing somewhere around the cloud, flat Kumo / 50% fib, which is what I should have done. Just bottom line. You know, somebody asked me on Twitter, do you have a target for this? I said, no, I don't have a target. mainly because I just want to see how this would work out, okay? But in general, you always want to have some sort of target thing. Then we get another bear fractal in front of this, and again, whether or not you move your stop loss up is your decision. Probably a good idea. And then I left, and it all kind of went to pot from there, as they say. So you can see we got a stop. If you were moving your stops up, like I was saying, after each bear fractal, you get stopped out here, whatever. If you wait for the bull fractal and then move it 1 or 2 back, either way you're stopped out pretty quickly from there. So holding beyond this point, that didn't make any sense. So overall, this worked out really well. This would have been in profit had I have closed here, had I have closed here, you know, it closed at a loss, whatever. I was expecting that because I wasn't paying attention. So if we go to the live chart, let's go to live chart, and the thing with the fractals is there are actually more to it than just the fractals themselves. So there's this thing called the alligator. I don't normally like stacking things on top of each other, but it kind of makes sense. So the alligator is just 3 EMAs, and when green is below everything, that's bearish. When blue is below everything, that's bullish, okay? So this median line is just the baseline, whatever you want to call it. Now, he calls it, Bill Williams, like the teeth, the mouth, the jaw, whatever it is. That's fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But the point of this is you want to follow the trend, and this helps you identify a trend even on the 5-minute, okay? And like we were saying, obviously bearish, we're pulling back hard, things go a little sideways, and if we turn on where I went long, I actually went long at a pretty decent spot without knowing it, based on, you know, things were flipping neutral to bullish. Again, this could have easily just went south. But my first entry was here, which broke the bearish most EMA, however you want to call that, okay? And then it goes neutral, then it goes bullish. Ideally, you're waiting until you're at least above this baseline. So, you know, if you want to edit this and just use one of the 3, you obviously use your own discretion. I know nothing about this other than reading about it in this one trade, okay? So you're holding, and, you know, if it breaks the baseline, that's another stop loss type close, okay? I need to work on this more, just figure out what it's trying to tell me. You can see here, bullish momentum, neutral, bearish momentum, potentially neutral again. I'll probably do another trade on this today, maybe not live on Twitter, but I'll look at it further. Let me know what you think about this kind of video, and I'm kind of partially rambling, partially trying to over-explain this a little bit, just so people follow along. I think it's pretty intuitive. It's, again, it's subjective only in how you read it, not necessarily how the fractals print. You can use this on any time frame. I was just using this on 5-minute because that's what Bill Williams did with stocks. I always like to start there, and stocks and commodities. Started with the, you know, traditional people were doing and successful at, and poured it over to crypto, make my own little edits, see what happens. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.